Hey guys, welcome back to Base MMA. We have some new fight announcements, guys, that just broke down right now. Dana White has just announced UFC 294, and he just announced the first 3 fights of that card. Now we know the main event for UFC 294, and I believe we also know the main event for UFC 293, and we know a couple of the fights that are going to be in UFC 294, guys. So before we get started, please make sure to like and subscribe this video. It really helps me out a lot. I know a lot more people are watching my videos, so please make sure to subscribe, share it with your friends. But let's get started, guys. So we finally have the main event for UFC 294, and I'm happy. I'm happy that it's going to be Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2. This is a fight that needed to happen, guys, because Charles Oliveira put an amazing performance against Beneil Dariush. And I know that he lost badly to Islam Makhachev, but like, look at the guys that Charles Oliveira has beaten. He's beaten Justin Gaethje. He's beaten Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. Like, he's beaten all these guys in dominant fashion. And I know that when he lost to Islam Makhachev, he said that it was just one of those days where, like, it was just an off night. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't take too much away from that fight. And after seeing his performance against Beneil Dariush, like, not to make any excuses, but I really do believe that something was off about Charles Oliveira in that fight. I'm not sure if it was the setting. I'm not sure if it was the fact that it was in Abu Dhabi. I'm not too sure. Maybe he had injuries, whatever. Maybe he underestimated Islam Makhachev. Whatever the case may be, I feel like this fight is going to be different. I'm glad that it's this fight, guys. As much as I wanted to see Volkanovski versus Islam 2, I feel like Charles deserved that rematch, man. After everything he's done in the lightweight division, the guy just deserves his rematch, and I'm glad and I'm super excited for this fight, guys. I'm super excited that Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev will be the main event for UFC 294, and I'm incredibly hyped for this fight, guys. I'm so excited. Now, before I talk about the other fights in UFC 294, I'm going to talk a little bit about UFC 293 because we also got some news. Israel Adesanya posted this video kind of talking smack about Dricus du Plessis because I guess Dricus is not going to be ready for UFC 293, and I believe he's suffering from an injury. So now this means that Sean Strickland might be facing Israel Adesanya at UFC 293, which, I mean, the build-up is going to be insane, and it's going to be funny. And I know that Sean Strickland is going to talk a lot of trash. He's going to sell that fight. He's going to make Israel Adesanya feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to love it. But the fight itself, if I'm being totally honest, most likely, I mean, unless, I don't know, this is MMA, right? Anything could happen. This sport is absolutely unpredictable. But most likely Sean Strickland's going to get knocked out, and I'm sad about that. I mean, I hope he pulls it off. Obviously, I'm going to go into that fight thinking that Sean Strickland's going to get KO'd. He's most likely going to lose. But if he gets it done, man, I'm going to be so happy. But I really want to see that Dricus du Plessis fight. But at the same time, I'm glad he's getting more time because an 8-week turnaround, he just fought like a couple weeks ago. And then to fight in the beginning of September, your title fight, putting everything on the line, I just feel like it's a lot to ask for. And I'm glad that Dricus is taking his time. I'm glad that he's not rushing it. So, incredible fight right there as well. I mean, we still don't know the rest of the UFC 293 card. I know that we've been getting some announcements. Like, we got Kai Kara France versus Manel Kep announced for that card as well. So we'll see if they start announcing those cards like fully in the next days to come. But UFC 294, guys, we also got Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev. And if you've been watching my channel, I just made a video roasting Paulo Costa because this guy's been ducking fights. I think he's overrated. I don't think he deserves to be ranked in the middleweight division. I don't believe he's a knockout artist, yada yada. I pretty much ranted about Paulo Costa, but I hope he actually did sign this fight, because if this fight is actually happening, then I'm very excited for it. And I just hope, I pray that Paulo Costa doesn't pull out, because if he pulls out, he should be cut from the UFC. If this guy pulls out one more time, he should be cut from the UFC. But the matchup itself, I mean, I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to school him. I just think Paulo Costa is getting older. I don't think he's as hungry. He looked like crap against Luke Rockhold. He wasn't able to KO Luke Rockhold. And I don't want to hear any excuses that, oh, it was because it took place in Salt Lake City, Utah, whatever, man. Everybody was under the same circumstances, so that's not an excuse. But I just think, and also he got beat by Marvin Vettori, which is not a good loss on your record, right? Losing to Marvin Vettori is like, come on, man. We just saw what Jared Cannonier did to Marvin Vettori, so So yeah, I'm excited for that fight, mostly because of the build-up, because I know that Paulo Costa and Khamzat Chimaev have been talking trash for a long time, and I think the build-up is going to be fun. Islam versus Charles 2 is going to be fun. So man, it's looking like a great card. I hope they add some more fights, maybe like a Peter Yan, maybe like a Magomed on Goliath to that card, and really stack those cards, man. I'm super excited. And I think this also means, guys, I think this also means that Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, they're most likely going to put that fight for the Jones Miocic card as a co-main event, and I can't freaking wait for that. That's absolutely amazing. I hope that ends up happening, guys. But yeah, Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, I mean, like I said, like I'm happy that it was this fight. I know that prior to this, we had heard that Charles Oliveira was not going to fight in Abu Dhabi because he had an injury and that it was not enough time and stuff like that. Some people were even saying that he was ducking Islam because he didn't want to fight in Abu Dhabi. And to be fair, I mean, I'm such a Charles Oliveira fan that I kind of felt like, man, like, yeah, like, wait, Charles, like, you don't need to fight him in Abu Dhabi if you don't feel comfortable there. That's how much of a Charles fan I am. I mean, he is my favorite fighter. So I just thought that, but I'm glad the fight is happening. I think the fight needs to happen. I think that, I think Charles looks so good. I think he's going to regain his confidence. I think he's going to game plan. And I hope he makes the adjustments. And I think this fight's going to be a lot closer. I mean, I don't know, man. It's really hard to bet against Islam Makhachev. The guys look phenomenal. And regardless of what you think of who won that Volkanovski fight, I mean, Islam did amazing. I mean, he did great on the feet. So clearly the guy's a great striker and just a great MMA fighter, you know. Prior to the Charles fight, we kind of underrated his striking. We thought, yeah, he's a good grappler, but what about his striking? He's going to get knocked out by Charles. And that didn't end up happening, guys. He looked incredible on the feet. So, but I think this fight's going to be different. I think Charles is going to come in a little bit more prepared. At least I hope. And I hope that, you know, imagine Charles Oliveira wins this fight, guys. Imagine Charles wins this fight and then they do Charles Oliveira versus Alexander Volkanovski. That's a massive fight. And I think this is also incredible because that means that in December, you can make Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight division. So I think this announcement is great. It gives me hope because, you know, I was starting to worry about this card because I was like, man, Volkanovski's injured. Charles is injured as well. And then I was like, Dustin Poirier and Gaethje, like, that's going to be a war. So we know that the winner is not going to be ready to fight Islam Makhachev in October. So I was like, what's going to end up happening with UFC 294? It's going to end up sucking. But no, guys, Charles Oliveira stepped up and he's going to get it done. I promise you now, based on MMA, I'm saying right now, Charles Oliveira and new, he's going to destroy Islam Makhachev. He's going to destroy that in beep. Just kidding. I'm not going to call him that word. But just kidding. He is going to destroy Islam Makhachev and I think he's going to TKO his ass. And that's what's going to end up happening, guys. But incredible announcements. Please let me know down in the comments below what you think of these announcements. Are you happy that this is the main event for UFC 294? And I'll see you guys in the next one.